There are two kinds of restaurant owners in this world: those who see their employees as just numbers, and those who truly care about the people who bring their vision to life. Daniel Clark was supposed to be the second kind, but lately he wasn't so sure. Clark's Bistro had been his dream for over a decade. A cozy, family-friendly spot tucked in a lively part of town, known for its warm lighting, rustic decor, and comforting dishes. It had been thriving for years, but something felt off. Customers still came in, but reviews had become inconsistent. Some praised the food. Others claimed the service was cold. Employees were polite, yet distant. Daniel wanted to fix it, but how could he when his staff wouldn't say a word? One evening, he made up his mind. He'd become a customer, not just in disguise, no wigs, no fake mustaches. He simply ditched his usual suit for jeans and a hoodie, walked in without greeting anyone, and took a corner table. If there was a problem in his restaurant, he would see it for himself. His server that night was a young man named Lucas, a quiet, thin guy with an easy smile and tired eyes. Daniel had seen him before, always polite, always professional, but something about him seemed different. As Lucas approached, he had a notepad in one hand and a pen in the other. "Good evening, sir. Can I start you off with something to drink?" His voice was soft, almost careful. Daniel ordered coffee. Black. Simple. As Lucas jotted it down, Daniel noticed something strange. Before moving to the next table, the young waiter tore a tiny piece of paper from his notepad, folded it neatly, and placed it beside the sugar jar. Then, just like that, he was gone. Daniel hesitated before picking it up. You're not alone. Some nights are just heavier than others. His heart skipped a beat. What was this? A mistake? A joke? He glanced around, expecting to see Lucas watching him, but the waiter was already at another table, taking orders as if nothing had happened. Intrigued, Daniel decided to watch more closely. As the night went on, he noticed it again. A young woman sitting by herself at a booth. Lucas left a note with her bill. A man in a suit staring at his phone, rubbing his temples. Lucas placed something beside his glass of water. It wasn't just him. Something was going on. When Lucas returned with Daniel's coffee, he took the opportunity to ask, "Hey, I found this." He held up the note. "You meant to leave it here?" Lucas froze for a second, then smiled. "Yeah, just something I do sometimes." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Why?" Lucas shrugged, as if it wasn't anything special. Some people look like they need to hear certain things. Not everyone has someone to say them. Daniel nodded slowly. "And you decide who does." Lucas hesitated, but his answer was steady. "I just noticed." Daniel didn't push further. Instead, he watched the rest of his shift, more curious than ever. Customers smiled as they read their notes, some even tucking them into their pockets as if they were worth saving. No one complained. No one found it strange. At closing time, Daniel made his way to the back, heart pounding. The other staff members were cleaning up, chatting, getting ready to head home. Lucas was wiping down a table near the bar. Daniel cleared his throat. "Lucas," the young waiter turned. "Oh, hey, did you need something else?" Daniel took a deep breath. "You don't recognize me, do you?" Lucas blinked, his brows furrowed. No, I don't think so. Should I?" Daniel sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "I own this place." Lucas's face drained of color. "Oh, Daniel held up a hand. "Relax. You're not in trouble. I need to understand something." Lucas stayed silent. Daniel crossed his arms. "The notes. You've been doing this for a while, haven't you?" Lucas bit his lip. Then, slowly, he nodded. "Why?" Daniel asked again, this time gentler. Lucas looked down at the table he'd been cleaning, fingers tightening around the rag in his hand. "I guess I remember what it's like." Daniel frowned. "What do you mean?" Lucas let out a quiet laugh, but there was no humor in it. Before I worked here, I was in a bad place. Lost my job, lost my apartment, had nowhere to go. Some nights, I just sat in a diner, staring at my coffee, feeling like I didn't matter, like no one would notice if I just disappeared. Daniel felt a weight settle in his chest. But then, Lucas continued, one night, a waitress left a little note on my receipt. It just said, "Hope things get better for you soon." That was it. Just a few words. He exhaled. I don't know why, but it stuck with me. It reminded me that people do notice, that strangers can care, even if they don't know your story. It didn't fix everything, but it helped. So now, I guess I just want to do the same for someone else. Daniel swallowed the lump in his throat. He hadn't expected this. He'd walked in tonight expecting to catch a problem, to find out why his restaurant felt off. And now, he was standing here, realizing that the quietest person in his staff had been creating something special, something he had completely overlooked. Finally, Daniel spoke. "I didn't know." Lucas shrugged. "No reason you would." Daniel exhaled. "You ever get in trouble for it?" Lucas hesitated. "A couple of managers didn't like it, said it wasn't professional, but I never push it. If someone throws a note away, that's fine. If they don't want it, I don't insist. I just try." Daniel nodded, staring at this young man who had quietly changed the atmosphere of his restaurant without anyone realizing. And for the first time in a long time, Daniel felt like he had something to learn from one of his own employees. Daniel couldn't stop thinking about Lucas's words as the night wore on. It wasn't just about the notes anymore. It was about the way Lucas had taken something as simple as a piece of paper and turned it into a lifeline for those who were struggling. What if his entire restaurant needed something like that? A reminder that they mattered. The next morning, Daniel came in early and sat in the staff lounge, waiting for Lucas to arrive. When the young man stepped through the door, he froze, seeing his boss sitting there. "Lucas," Daniel said, standing up, "we need to talk." The waiter's face turned pale, but Daniel immediately put him at ease. "Don't worry. It's not about the notes. Actually, it's about something I've been missing all this time." Lucas blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" Daniel took a deep breath. "I've been so caught up in running this place that I've lost sight of the little things. You've been doing something here that's far more important than I realized. You've been changing lives, Lucas, without even knowing it." Lucas shook his head. "I didn't think anyone really noticed." "Oh, we noticed," Daniel said with a smile. "But I don't think I really understood how much it meant until now. What you've been doing, it's not just a kind gesture. It's a reminder that sometimes the smallest act can have the biggest impact." Lucas's face softened. "I just wanted to make people feel seen." "I think you've done more than that," Daniel replied. "You've made them feel cared for." And that's when an idea started to take shape in Daniel's mind. It wasn't enough for Lucas to continue working in the shadows, quietly changing lives. What if the entire restaurant became part of this secret, this powerful, simple mission of kindness? Over the next few weeks, Daniel introduced a new initiative at Clark's Bistro, one he called the Secret Note Project. He made it clear to his team, anyone could participate. Any employee could write a note, something simple, something personal, and leave it for a customer who seemed to need it most. At first, the staff was unsure. Some worried it would feel strange, or that customers might think it was a gimmick. But Daniel insisted it was more than that. It was about connection. It was about reminding people they were seen and cared for. Soon enough, the notes started appearing everywhere. On receipts, by coffee cups, under plates, each one different, yet all carrying the same message of hope. You matter. It gets better. You are loved. It wasn't long before word got out. Customers began coming back specifically for the notes, not because they were free or fancy, but because they were real. And each one carried something that most people rarely get to experience in the hustle and bustle of life. Real empathy, Real acknowledgement. One afternoon, a woman came in, visibly upset, her face streaked with tears. She ordered a coffee, her hands trembling as she paid. Daniel watched from across the room, wondering what had happened. As the woman settled into her seat, Lucas placed a note beside her drink. The woman read it quietly, and for a moment, she just stared at it. Then, without a word, she pulled her phone out of her bag and typed something. A few minutes later, she stood up, walked over to Lucas, and handed him her phone. "I just wanted you to know," she said, her voice thick with emotion. This note saved my life today. I was about to leave. I was done. But this helped me believe I can try again." Lucas stood there, speechless. He could barely find the words to respond. Daniel, standing just behind him, watched the exchange with a mixture of awe and humility. He never expected this. Never imagined something so simple could mean so much to someone. But as he looked around the room, at the waiters and cooks, at the customers who seemed a little lighter, a little less burdened, he knew he had done the right thing. That day, Daniel decided to make sure that the Secret Note project went beyond just one restaurant. He contacted other businesses in the area, spreading the idea of handwritten kindness. It wasn't long before other stores, coffee shops, and even corporate offices started adopting their own versions of the idea. It was as if a ripple of compassion was slowly spreading across the town. But for Lucas, the change was more personal. He'd never seen himself as someone capable of making a real difference. In his mind, he was just a waiter. But now, he knew he was something more. He was a lifeline to someone who needed a few kind words. And that, in his eyes, was worth everything. So, here's a thought for you, my friend. What would you do in Lucas's shoes? Would you take the chance to offer kindness to a stranger, even when you know it might not be noticed? How many moments in your life have you passed up simply because you didn't realize the impact of a small act? We're all living through our own stories. We all face struggles, big or small. But the truth is, we can make a difference, one simple note at a time. Maybe it's time we start looking for those small opportunities to make someone else's day a little bit brighter. What do you think? Leave me a comment below. Tell me about a time someone's kindness changed your day, or if you think you could do something like Lucas did. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And remember, if you love this story, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more real-life inspiration. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!